Hello? 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 Hang on, let me turn this up. Can anyone hear me? Hear me? Hear me? Can anyone hear me? Hello? Can anyone hear me? Turn up the gain, the monitor. Hello? 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 Hey, sounds like people can hear me. I just heard something say, hear me, hear me, hear me. Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Hello.
good. There we go. Hello. You can turn that off or it's going to drive me nuts. Feedback.
Hello.
Yeah, there we go. Yes, we can hear you. Good, good. We had some issues there to start out with, and I don't know why, but okay. Hi, we're Null Device. This is Jill. I'm Eric, not pictured. The other Eric and Kendra, who we can't fit in here right now, and also one of them lives in Massachusetts. So, that causes some issues. But this is Satellite of Love shit here. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'll take your word for it. So we're doing a Q&A live chat thing here. There were a couple of questions that were put up earlier that I might as well we might as well answer now. The first one, well, one of the most recent ones is how do we pick which song who's going to sing? Like whether Jill's going to sing it or I'm going to sing it or whatever. And do we really even have a system?
I think well, I would say the songs that I sing are usually ones that I wrote the lyrics for. But I do write lyrics that Eric sings as well. So usually what happens for things that I write is I send them to Eric, and then Eric might be like, hey, Jill, do you want to sing leads on this one? I'll be like, I don't care. And then usually if Eric wants me to do the lead, I'll say sure. So that's kind of how it goes for that. So that's for the things that I do the lyrics on. Eric Gedkin also writes many lyrics. He does not perform live. He works behind the scenes. So I usually only sing things that I wrote, but Eric also sings things that I wrote as well as things that the other Eric wrote. So there's a lot of Erics.
Yeah, there are. There's many of us. We are legion. But Eric Gottesman has never been in Null Device, so we're like the last band standing. The cat you just saw was Asha. She's 13. She just stops by periodically. She's from upstairs. Let's see. Another question that someone asked earlier, I think Chris asks how we do the stuff because Eric writes lyrics and is in Massachusetts, and, well, Jill's here, so that makes it easy, but how do we collaborate with big distances and all that stuff? And it's basically I write a demo and send it out to everybody, and somebody says, hey, I got lyrics for that, or sometimes someone has lyrics first and then I write a demo to go with it. Or sometimes we have both and we just figure out how they connect. And that's just, it's pretty fluid. We don't have a real solid process. We just kind of do what sounds like it's going to work. Let's see. Somebody asked before what that violin was. Was it a regular violin or was it a instrument that looked like a violin? I think that was Kelly that asked that. That was a Steinberger CR4 electric violin. So Ned Steinberger designs. I'm a big fan. And Kendra plays a Steinberger electric cello when we have her in the room. So yeah, we like that stuff. Let's see. How many instruments do you each play, and what are they? From Uncle Cat Lady. Let's see. How many instruments do we each play? Start with you.
I would say I barely play even one. So I roughly play keyboard and I sing, and that's really about it. I'm more about a mood note type person and singer, and I like to sway around.
I play violin. I've been playing violin for many, 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 many years. I'm trying to think if there are any, and I play a little bit of keyboard, but not very well. I play a little bit of bass, but not very well. I'm extremely bad at guitar, and then I own a ton of instruments I cannot play well at all. Most of them are various drums, but yeah, I'm terrible at them, but I spend most of my time, behind a computer keyboard. I play computer.
Yep.
Oh, and don't forget the theremin. Some Ellie points out, don't forget that's right. I do play theremin also very badly, but most of the time I'm playing that in caustic, so I just need to make weird, spooky noises and not actually try and like hit notes. So that makes it a little bit easier because, well, yeah. Let's see. Okay, well, Brant wanted to know how the violin was mic'd, but that's that we answered that one because it's an electric violin. So let's see what else we got.
I think in the beforehand we got a question about which of our virtual performances were our favorites.
Squid asked that.
Yes.
Hi, Squid. Squid, who has been to every show we have done in the past. How long has that been? Like 4 or 5 years now at this point.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, this show is our third virtual show of the pandemic. The first one that we did was about a year ago for Terminus, where I was out in my car in Eric's driveway, and I would say that was probably my favorite one just because I didn't know until about 5 days before that show that I'd even be able to be in the show. I knew that we'd been offered to do a stream for Terminus, and I kind of thought it might be a solo Eric performance because, we weren't sure how to do it socially distanced. We tried like some remote options, and there was just too much of a lag. Like you tried to do it. What did we try? Like FaceTime? I can't remember.
Yeah, we were
what
trying
all tried.
FaceTime. We were trying other things. We tried Zoom. I think we tried something else, and
Yeah, when you're singing harmonies, there's just too much of a lag. And then I don't know how it popped into my head, but I think the Monday before Terminus, I was like, what if I was just in my car and there was a really long microphone cable? And I texted Eric and I'm like, what if I was in my car? Will your connection go out there? And he's like, it might. And I pretty much knew from that point on that was going to be it. Like,
yeah, I had a couple of mic cables. I plugged them into each other, ran it up through a small hole I drilled in the ceiling. Property values. Up through the up the wall of the room upstairs, out the window, into the, because right now the camera is up against the now exterior wall of this house, so we're pretty close to the outside. So I just needed to run it out the window, and then we had wireless for the monitors, and it was just enough. It worked pretty well. I
remember I showed up for one rehearsal before we did that, and there's a cat down here.
Just Asha. Coming and
I
going.
showed up for rehearsal, and again, early days of pandemic and trying to be very, very careful. I think Wisconsin was on lockdown at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I show up in Eric's driveway. There's like a sanitized microphone and instructions in a plastic bag outside his door.
Yeah.
So I mean, I literally didn't even see Eric when I showed up for that until after we did the show. We took a socially distant picture, but I didn't even see him. I just heard him through my in-ear monitors, and that was that. So I would say that's my favorite one, just because I was kind of amazed we pulled it off, and it was just kind of a last-minute thing. We did also do a live stream last July, and by that point, we had come up with the idea of each performing from separate rooms in Eric's basement. So right now we're in Eric's basement, but I used to perform on the other side of that wall. So now we're vaccinated, we're in the same room, and this is much, much nicer. So pretty happy.
See, our Wisconsin accents are cute. Oh, yeah, don't you know? I can really go into it if I need to there. How many cats are there when you put all the Null Device band members together? Well, let's see. I have 4.
I have 3 cats, and I just need to give a shout out to my cat Nemesis, who turns 19 in a week and a half. So.
Wow. Eric G has how many? Does he have 1 or 2?
Maybe just 1.
I think he's just got the 1. And Kendra has 2. So.
Actually, I'm not sure, but.
Yeah, Tom and Ray.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Tom and
Sorry.
Ray.
There's songs about Tom and Ray.
There are songs about Tom and Ray out there. What's your favorite cheese? Ooh, that's a tough one. What's my favorite cheese? Probably Uplands Dairy Rush Creek Reserve. It's a seasonal from a place in Dodgeville. You can only get it like for 2 months at the end of the year.
I'm going to give probably a very Wisconsin answer, like cheese curds.
Hey, there you go. Let's see. What accents? How long have you been together as a band? How long? Well, let's see. In some form or another, we've been functioning as a band since 1996-ish. Well, 94 was when I put out the first thing, but that was just me with a terrible computer, and it wasn't very good. And I think there's like 3 or 4 copies of that left in the world. And then your brother came on board shortly thereafter. And then I started getting you involved. When was that? Like around
7.
2007. I thought it was earlier for some of the backing vocal
Oh,
stuff.
that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So
Yeah, there have been various iterations of Null Device. I didn't really come on as a performing member till I think my first show was like November 2007. So I can't believe it's already been that long. Like Dan Clark from the Dark Clan was in Null Device, and he left to pursue some other things, and that's when Eric asked me if I would come on board. I've actually known Eric since I was 16. So I've known Eric a very, very long time. When I met Eric, he had very big hair.
yeah, it's less big than it was. But.
And I remember I was wearing a green sweater. So it's funny the things you remember. But yeah, so I've officially been in Null Device since 2007. I guess that's right. I did some backing stuff before then. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And yeah, my roles kind of changed. I started off just kind of doing live stuff and singing backing, and over time I've taken on more writing and working more behind the scenes. So just kind of gradually easing myself more into the whole process there. So now I bug Eric a lot. So when we're writing stuff,
yeah, we've got all sorts of new stuff. I need to like record and finish some of it, but Jill's written me a lot of lyrics. I've got a lot of demos to go with them. We just haven't finished putting them together yet. And Eric's written a lot of lyrics, and I've got a lot of demos for that too. And again, haven't finished it yet. But we should have some songs coming out on a couple of compilations soon. There's going to be another telecompilation. We were on the past couple. And we've got a brand new song for that one that's coming out in, I think, June-ish. I don't know exactly. The Distortion Productions Draven's Mixtape, which is a tribute to the Crow soundtrack, is currently in my hot little hands for mastering, and that will come out hopefully in time for Cold Waves. And we've got a song on there too. We did a cover of Color Me Once, which was by Gordon Gano. Violent Femmes. There we go. So that'll be cool. It's everything I've heard from it so far. I haven't finished mastering it yet. Is like fantastic. So it's going to be really good. And then we're still working on new stuff. So we'll get that done eventually. We're hopefully going to start putting stuff out more often. Maybe smaller things than 12-song albums, but instead of a 12-song album every 3 years, maybe an EP every year or 9 months or whatever. We'll see. We got to actually finish stuff first before I make any decisions. Let's see. Any more questions? Someone misses having hair. Okay. I've still got it, but it's slowly getting thinner up top. So, how do you go about your remixes? What is the starting point for doing things? I handle most of the remixes myself. With Null Device mixes, it's kind of a whatever I feel like doing kind of thing. I mean, if it's a clack mix, we kind of have a thing, so I do those very specifically. But with Null Device mixes, I kind of play around and.
Sometimes it's because I'm sick of doing the same version of the same song.
Well, there's that. When we remix our own stuff. Yeah, when we remix our own stuff, it's just, because we're tired of hearing the same version we've been doing since 2012. Or
like the triangular version that we did tonight, I can't do the original one. It has to be.
Yeah. And
kind of feeling that way about Travelogue as well.
Yeah, that's like the 5th version of Travelogue we've done too. If I'm remixing somebody else's stuff, Usually, I just find I start with if there's vocals to it, I start with the vocals and go from there. Sometimes I decide I'm going to be clever and do something really off the wall, like when Matt sent me a kit for Bomb the Clubs all those years ago. I decided I was going to do something very hacienda-ish because it seemed like it would be funny. Kind of worked, and stuff like that. It's never. I don't really. I just kind of play it by ear a little bit. Usually something like a theme or a melody catches my ear, and I'll kind of just expand on that and go in that direction. And that's pretty much it. There's no real magic to it. It's just I kind of bang away until I get something I like, and then go from there. Usually I start with a drum beat or a bass line or something like that, and just kind of keep building on it until I get something that sort of fits together. So let's see. I'm scrolling.
I think there's a question earlier about here, right there.
Oh, yes. Andrew, Line of Sight had a handful of tracks with a political slant. Let's see. Now that Trump is out of office, where will you draw your inspiration from next? Well, we're still kind of mining that vein a little bit.
We're still angry.
We're still angry, yeah.
I've written a lot of very, very angry lyrics in the last few months.
Yeah, and a lot of those...
I even texted Eric. I'm like, who knew I was so angry?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, where is it all coming from? Then it's like, oh, yeah. So.
And, there's still a lot to be angry about. So we're just kind of going with that. And, it's not all... The last album wasn't overtly political, but there's always a little bit of an undercurrent to that. I always have a hard time doing overtly political stuff just because I don't think I can pull it off convincingly. I mean, it's easy for a guy like me who's a cis heterosexual white guy living in the suburbs to make some broad sweeping political statement, but I'm also sitting in a basement filled with lots and lots of expensive equipment that if I sold I could probably feed Botswana for a month or something like that. So there's nevertheless we still have a few things to say, and we have a few causes to amplify, so we kind of go with that. And anger is an energy. Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, I just go with whatever I'm inspired by. So I don't necessarily set out to write a certain type of song. It's just, this is what I feel like writing about, and I just kind of see where it goes.
And I know we have some songs that sound political but aren't, and then probably a few songs that don't sound political but are. So I think we had an instrumental that was actually supposed to be political at one point, but you wouldn't be able to tell. It was the Bush administration. Everything was a little political back then too. So,
and I will just say, I'm listening here through these little in-ear monitors, and there's a mine here that says "clean litter boxes." It just popped up. So
I've got my nightly reminder
right here.
When you have 4 cats, you kind of need well, you don't really need a reminder. You just know, but still. Can you talk about the shape-based songs, though? I can. I think Eric Gedkin wrote both of those.
Yeah, I was telling Eric, I don't write shapes, so those aren't my doing.
Yeah, Eric wrote both of those, and they were both written at very different times, so it's kind of just coincidental that they're songs about shapes. For a while, we had a lot of songs that had, like, water themes, but they were all also written at very different times. I mean, one of our really early songs was called Niagara, and then years later we had Waterproof, and then something like that, and they were all, they were written at very different times, but they seemed to kind of dovetail together nicely. And what shapes will you explore in the future? I don't know yet.
Spooky ones.
Spooky shapes, yes. Well, you could do, parallelograms or, rhombuses or something like that. I don't know. Those are spooky shapes, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yes, that's right. Ellie used to get that reminder for the cat box when she was using the phone, right? let's see. I think that's everything. Did I miss anything? Anybody out there? Spooky Shapes. Spooky Shapes is my new band. Yes. Okay. So I think that's basically everything. Thank you all
Yeah,
for
thank you.
for joining us tonight. This was fun. We're hoping to do another one of these, maybe without the Q&A, maybe just you know dropping some tunes in the reasonably near future. We didn't use this platform probably as much as we could, but pandemic and a band and always a little tricky when you can't be in the same room. But now we can be in the same room, so we can use this again.
And it feels awesome.
Yeah,
so.
it's great. And it's I like live streaming a lot because I don't have to load out at the end of the night, and the green room is comfortable. And there are cats. Olive is not here, by the way. She stayed home because of the rain, which is probably good. So there we go. Thank you all. Have a good night, and thanks for coming.
Thank you. Good night.